And I was going to say good morning, but it's 12 o'clock noon, so we are now heading into the afternoon. Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to Lessons in Leadership, Chapter 1. I'm very excited and very pleased to welcome today Marina Ibrahim, who's coming to talk to us. Marina is a global mobility coach and expert, so I'm sure she's got some fantastic perspectives around leadership that she can share with us, and also her own learning journey as well, which is what I'm always really curious and nosy about as well. So really lovely to have you here today, Marina. How are you?
Mary, thank you very much. I'm very well, and I was literally excited when you asked me last week whether I could join you today. And I'm very pleased to be here.
Good. Well, I'd like to know a bit more about you and about your business. You're leading your own business. What's kind of brought you to the place that you are now in terms of your work and your life?
Wow, that's a good question. I think you always, when you start up your own business, you need to find a connection with what your skills and your passion is, I suppose. My journey actually reflects that. I have a cross-cultural background, and that brings me to the cultural niche I've actually carved myself my business for. So I have a cross-cultural background. I'm a German Egyptian. My father is German. My mother is my father is Egyptian. My mother is German, and I use this cross-cultural sort of heritage as part of my journey through my career and also to setting up my own business. And when I was brought up in Germany between two families and two cultures, I already noticed something was different, but I'd never really thought about that ever actually matters. You just take things on board and do things without having that awareness. And when I studied marketing and later on also embarked myself onto an international project management course, that was the very first moment when I actually discovered something which was really, really imprinting my career going forward. That was still in Germany, but I already had a career in marketing, in music marketing in particular, and that was an organization which was already international, and I was already working internationally and across different cultures, but I didn't even know anything about cultures then. And only that course has helped me to discover something very important.
So participating in that course kind of opened your eyes to your own cultural diversity, as it were.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Mary. So that
Fantastic.
was discovering different time concepts was one of the key things which had really created that aha moment. When I traveled, let's say, with my family to Egypt, and being brought up in Germany, you probably hear about the Germans being quite time conscious. They literally look at their watches and say, you have to be punctual. It's part of a business etiquette, which is expected.
Yes.
When you go to Egypt, it's slightly different. So when we had, meetings with our family, it was always quite, kind of flexible in some ways. People turned up probably an hour late or sometimes 2 hours. And it literally stretched our patience.
I can't imagine two cultures more diverse, actually, in terms of attention to detail and time. Absolutely.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it happened that we, coming from Germany with our German expectations, were literally starting to have a discussion. How dare you being late 2 hours without even letting us know? So we were quite, impatient. And then you see and hear from the Egyptian family, how dare you, we made all the efforts coming to see you, we're here now. Let's have fun and be good together and spend some good times together. So there was always that clash of something which I didn't really took on board then, but with this course, that actually introduced us to a time concept which I wasn't aware. It told us that Africans would define time as spaces, as rooms, and that was like amazing for me to even think about that there were different time concepts across different cultures.
Yes. So I suppose that's the time concepts. There's also other concepts. I'm thinking body language is another one that's culturally very different as well.
Yes. And other aspects, talking about leadership, you have different leadership styles, different communication styles. People make different go different about making decisions,
Yes.
working styles. So these are all different across different cultures, and that actually brought me to that awareness that there is
Yes.
something out there which I'd like to explore further.
Yeah. So that almost guided you to go down the path that you've gone down in terms of your business. And how has that impacted you as a leader? How has that affected you in terms of you showing up as a leader?
Well, I think my journey when I moved to the UK, because I used this course to actually launch my career into the UK, I continued my journey as a marketeer. I'm a marketing manager for a business startup hub. And it was quite a challenging first big role in a new cultural environment. So I learned my lessons in a hard way, to be honest, because there were culture clashes personally, but also in the way how we professionally worked. And it was a quite hard journey for me to discover, oh, I have to really do a lot of learning and being more culturally aware. And with the help of a coach, I discovered those differences in more depth. And that also helped me to decide for my own career to become a coach myself.
Yes.
Having gained that experience of knowing and to look out for the cultural differences in a more professional way.
Yes, yes. Gosh, so it's really been very profound on you. And so how does that cultural awareness, how does that show up in the way that you coach or in how you lead others?
Well, I think in the coaching world, you keep saying, you need to walk the talk, which is one of my preferred sort of principles, really.
Yeah.
Having had the own experience of a journey through a cultural transition and adaptation, and making a career, a successful career in a new cultural environment, is the sort of experience and the treasure box I'd like to use in my coaching. So I can I can build rapport with my clients, as well as sharing experiences as well, which is a lot of it helps you to build trust to start with, and also the
Yes.
credibility. Because in my work as a globability coaching, I'm actually supporting my clients who are international assignees, who are in leadership roles, who want to have support in order to make their cultural transition as quickly as possible, to hit the ground running,
Yes.
you would say.
Yes.
But also with the cultural awareness and the cultural knowledge they need in order to be successful in their roles.
Yes. Yes. That sounds really inspiring what you're doing there. It's just excellent. And a question that's just come up for me as you've been talking is, this is all about cultural diversity, understanding the differences between, for example, for your own experience of, German culture and Egyptian culture, that, two very clear extremes there, but there are all sorts of subtleties between cultures as well. I'm also curious, with your experience of coaching leaders from all over the world, what do leaders have in common? Where is their commonality? Because we're all human beings. So what is the commonality you notice between leaders?
Well, that's a very good question. I always keep looking out for those traits when I meet my clients. And I think a common trait there is definitely self-awareness. That's a
Right.
good starting point. And also being willing and open for the newness, which is part of their new assignment, apparently. So
Yes.
when they look out for what kind of support would they need, I think they're all ready, because we're talking about multinational companies who literally nurture their talents. They have been picked or often been chosen to go into these international assignments for the reasons of their skill set. And it's not only the technical knowledge which they bring to the table. I think one of their key traits is people skills.
Yes. So people skills are really, really important. You're noticing the people that come to coaching, that your leadership, your executives,
Yes.
people skills, self-awareness, willingness to learn, and openness to learning are all common skills, common attributes that leaders around the world share.
Yes, absolutely. And still, there's a missing link. Yeah, if I may say, they know that they have the people skills, but they wouldn't necessarily know what is the turnkey? What is helping them to actually leverage with the help of cultural knowledge to improve those people skills?
Yes. So that's interesting then. So there's an understanding about, they have a level of people skills, but they're not always conscious of how powerful those people skills are. Because I mean, I suppose me as a coach, I feel they are the most powerful skills. If you're a leader, that is the actual lever to helping you be effective, is how you relate to your people. So maybe they don't realize what sort of a golden key they've got in their hand by being good with their people.
Yes. It is, for example, if you want to know an example, if you were, for example, give feedback as a leader to someone in a let's say in an Egyptian culture, as my point of reference here, you want to appreciate how they communicate in a different way. They would never in a setting, they would never critique their leader, for example. If you as a leader don't know about it, you would just say, just tell me, what would you like me to do? Or and you have that expectation that people are communicating with you in an open way, in a direct way. Then you can't expect that they communicate that way, because
that's right.
It's different.
Yes. I've got another question that's come up that you've just stimulated a memory in me. I once worked for a big multinational, huge retailer, and they had a global operation, and we used to run leadership programs, and were introducing through those leadership programs some very key skills and attitudes that we required of leaders working within this organization. And there were those, we had people from Europe, we had people from China, we had people from all over the world. And in this particular program, there were, I'm not going to mention which specific country because I don't want to pinpoint a specific country, but there were people on the course from an Asian country who actually took exception to what we were teaching them and found it really uncomfortable. What would be your advice as someone who has that cultural awareness, that globality mindset, as to how a course like that could be run going forward? Because it shocked us, and when we were facilitating it, we were thinking, oh gosh, we hadn't appreciated at the time.
Yes. You definitely need to get prepared for who is going to be in the room. You have to make yourself aware what different cultural representatives there are. Often we use, in my line of work, I use cultural assessment tools, which actually help you to not only create your own unconscious bias, and help to establish what are your cultural preferences, but also establishes what other cultures are in the room, or who you're dealing with, in order to establish where are you and where are they, in order to bridge the cultural gaps.
Right. Okay. That sounds really fascinating. What sort of tools do you use? Are these tools you've created, or are they ones that are accessible in the marketplace?
Yeah, I mean, there are actually accessible on the marketplace, but you have to be trained for those.
Right. Okay.
You have to have
I can get that.
Background there. My framework is Global DISC, which is helping you on the basis of DISC as is a quite assessment tool. You have the global element of it involved as well. So it literally leverages it into different countries and national cultures, but it also defines culture in a different way, also leveraging different professional cultures, as well as corporate cultures, and most importantly, it identifies the drivers and motivators of each individual as well.
Yes.
So it's a quite complex tool, but once you are familiar with it, it can actually open doors, minds, and hearts.
That sounds invaluable if you are engaging with a global audience with many different. They're going to, even regionally. Think about the UK. Even regionally, there are different cultures regionally and different values and beliefs depending on where you are in the country.
Absolutely.
So around the globe, it's going to even be more evidence. So that sounds like a really invaluable tool. Okay, that's really, really helpful. Thank you so much, Marina. Finally, sort of your parting word in terms of this sort of aha moment you had when you suddenly appreciated the differences and the diversities between cultures and your own diversity within your own upbringing and experience, what advice would you pass on to leaders who are in the situation where they're working with many different cultures, or even just working with diversity generally? Because, even in our own workplace, we've got so much diversity these days. What would your advice be?
Well, never take things for granted. Don't even expect that things work the same way you think it works in your own culture. You may as well tend to apply common sense, but common sense is no longer common sense in a new cultural setting.
Yeah.
So that is a very, very, it is a danger. It's almost, I call it the ignorance trap, because you can easily get carried away, feeling safe in an unfamiliar environment, and expecting that things work the same way. It doesn't. You always have to make sure you're prepared to take off your cultural glasses and be able to put up a new pair of glasses.
I like that. I like the analogy of, I'm wearing my new specs today. I like the analogy of using spectacles, because it is like we do have our own filters, and our values and beliefs, our past experiences all filter what we look for. And there's something about throwing all that away and not holding any assumptions, not assuming anything about anyone. And I guess I always go on about a mindset of curiosity will help here as well. So being curious rather than judgmental about other people.
Yes, very much so, Mary. Yes, I agree.
Brilliant. Okay, well, thank you so much, Marina. It's been a real pleasure talking to you today, and thank you for sharing your wisdom.
Thank you.
If anyone is watching this after, because we're obviously going to share this on Facebook, please put your comments and share your experiences of global mobility and working with different cultures and diversity. We'd love to hear more about you. And you can also find you on Facebook and LinkedIn, can't we?
Yes,
Marina.
Yes.
So look out for Marina there. And thank you, everyone, for watching. Thank you, Marina.
Thank you for having me, Mary. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.